All right, well, welcome back. I'm frustrated. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in myself. I got all wrapped up in this Colin Kaepernick freedom of speech, freedom of expression thing, and I let it take me over. So at least I recognize it. I can move on now. Problem is, I still have really strong feelings about it. So I see everybody's still posting about it, that sort of thing. So anyway, I'm also disappointed in America. It's unfortunate that people get so pissed off about a guy sitting down during our national anthem, which I understand to most people out there, or some people, I'm not sure what the stats are. They see that it represents the lives of those who gave everything for our freedom, for that exact freedom of speech, which is quite the catch-22 if you think about it, because they're all pissed off that he's exercising his freedom of speech. Most people are okay with it, but they think that it was ill-timed, or one of my friends said it was disgusting. I mean, I don't know. I think drinking pig's blood is disgusting, but I don't know about sitting down during a song. And that's kind of where my disappointment is. It's like, really, you're that angry? He expresses himself freely by sitting down to the national anthem, which that national anthem represents the lives of those who gave everything to have that freedom. So there's this like cyclical thing going on, and nobody can recognize it, or at least if they do, they don't say so. Really unfortunate. I'm disappointed in myself because I allowed things to get to a point, I guess, on one of my posts. I guess I don't understand it 100%, but long story short, I had another lifelong friend unfriend me today on Facebook. And I know a lot of people out there, you're probably one of them if you're watching this, say, "Oh, it doesn't matter, it's just an electronic friendship. It's not like it's not like they're not your friend anymore." Which is true. It's not like they're not my friend anymore, but Facebook is how we stay in contact these days. It's likely that I'll be able to reach out and talk to somebody I haven't seen in a long time. Not that I do, not that they do, but it's likely that I can, more so than I can jump on my phone and reach out to them, because likely I have their Facebook profile, but I don't have their phone number. So anyway, it just kind of peeves me a little bit. I did ask him why. No, I didn't ask him why. He offered his answer. Actually, I messaged him directly. I said, "LOL, did you really unfriend me?" Which is probably the wrong way to ask also. I recognize that. But he said that, yeah, I did, and, I'll let you back in if you don't tag me and shit like that anymore. And then he said, things that I've seen in Oakland, which he's not from Oakland, I think he does work in Oakland. Things that I've seen in Oakland make it hard for me to agree with you. And so this is also kind of where my disappointment is derived, because, he takes his anecdotal examples in Oakland and applies them to the post in which I tagged him on. And the post in which I tagged him on was a post that was a news clipping, a video clip of a story that ran up here in Sacramento recently about a community out in El Dorado Hills that has a HOA, a homeowners association, and in that homeowners association contract, in order to be able to purchase the house or rent the house, the tenants need to be Caucasian. And if not, they need to be signed off on. And if they need to be signed off on, and the owner of the house needs to be Caucasian, if the renters are not. Which is crazy. That's a rule that they came up with in the 60s, no doubt. And I tagged him. I didn't tag him in the post. I tagged him in the comments. And so this tag didn't... It's not like his friends and family can see that I tagged him in the thread. And I'm not sure if that's where his frustration came from. I think his frustration came more from the fact that I'm continuing the conversation. I'm trying to expose this side of America that a lot of us don't ever see. You know, and some people might look at me and be like, Wesley, well, you don't fucking see it. You know what? You're right. I don't. But I had the privilege, and I don't know if you call it a privilege. It's for lack of a better term. I had the privilege of growing up with some. I didn't grow up with them, okay? But on the weekends, I used to visit my mom, and my mom lived in Sacramento, and you know, she's lived in numerous different places in Sacramento over my lifetime, and my older brother who lived with my mom had a friend who had two younger brothers, Eljalik and Jamar, and Eljalik and Jamar and myself, we were all good friends. We used to play hide and seek. We used to egg houses. We did a lot of stupid shit. We used to fight. I mean, you know what? Actually, I don't know if you can see it, but this tooth right here, this tooth is half chipped, and this tooth is half chipped because I was riding on a skateboard on my belly, racing Eljalik down a driveway, and Eljalik jumped in front of me on his skateboard and was still kicking, and his foot kicked my board out from under me, and so my face hit the ground and bam, chipped my tooth. And that's where this chip comes from. So were they a large part of my life? On the weekends? Yeah, it just depended on what year you were talking about, because my mom didn't always live near them. But my older brother's friend Danny, my older brother and Danny have been best friends forever, and Danny's family is a mixture of Portuguese and African Americans, and all the children are kind of, you know, from different parents. So I just say that to say that I have a loyalty to people in my childhood who I saw grew up underprivileged and grew up poor and grew up, you know, kind of just under the thumb of society. And I know everybody out there's like, oh, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You know, one of the things that I've not heard anybody mention in this whole Colin Kaepernick thing, I had a friend who's a cop, or a former cop. He's now injured, and poor guy. I feel bad, man. That sucks. Thank you for your service, by the way. So there's that. But he posted a letter that the San Francisco Police Department Association, so I'm assuming the union, wrote an open letter to Colin Kaepernick. It was very well written. You know, they outlined a few major points and that sort of thing. I don't have the time to go over it. I definitely read through it because I'm a firm believer that you need to read the opposing side of the argument in order to kind of even out or strengthen or weaken your own. You know, we need checks and balances. That's an important part of life. So I read through the whole thing, and you know, a couple of things stuck out to me. They were like, you know, Colin Kaepernick shows a lack of sensitivity towards police. A lack of sensitivity? Come the fuck on, dude. Like, you guys roll around with guns and with impunity. You can pull anybody over you want to, and they didn't even have to do a fucking thing. I can't be sensitive to that. Cops can do whatever they want. Whatever they want. Prove me wrong. They can do whatever they want. And that's not something to be sensitive towards. we shouldn't have to have sensitivity towards a police department. When, in all actuality, across the nation, most police departments are corrupt. Or at some level they are. Have you guys ever heard of asset forfeiture? You know, cops have stolen more money from the American people over the last 15 years than any terrorist or criminal organization out there. Asset forfeiture is when a cop pulls you over and you got a wad of cash in your wallet or in your car or whatever, and they go, I think you got that cash for illegal reasons. They can fucking seize that money, and then it's on you to prove that it was yours to begin with. It's on you to prove that you earned it legally, that you earned it through legal means. So, that's scary, man. That's really fucking scary, dude. You're trying to tell me these dudes can pull me over, see that I've got $5,000. Maybe I'm going to go buy a car. Maybe I'm going to put a down payment on my wife's fucking wedding ring. I don't have a wife, by the way. But if I did, who's to say? And here's the deal. If I'm white, it's likely that the cop is going to believe me that I'm going to go buy a ring, If I'm not white, they're probably, they're all trained to think that we're all liars anyway. So that's let's put that over there. But yeah, if the person in question is not white, they're probably not going to believe them, and they're probably going to take their $5,000 and they're not going to get it back. So anyway, one of the things that's one of the things that it mentioned. Another thing that it mentioned is that cops can't be blamed for all of society's problems. I don't know. I could argue that point. The war on drugs, policing for profit, and the enforcement of victimless crimes. Those three things right there is a large part of the frustration in the less affluent communities right now. That's literally what's going on, is they're frustrated with police because police harass and detain them and shit just so they can find drugs. The war on drugs has failed us. It has failed us tremendously. And it puts cops and non-violent, quote-unquote, criminals, I'll call them citizens, non-violent citizens, at risk. It puts both cops and citizens at risk. The cop says, oh, do you have anything illegal, any weapons, any drugs in the car? And if I say, no, I don't have any guns, but I got some marijuana, he's like, get out of the car, I gotta search your shit. Okay, if I'm white, I'm getting out of the car, right? But if I've been harassed my whole life by police, I don't think that I'd get out of the car so willingly. But, Eljalik and Jamar weren't my only two. My older brother also had another friend named TW. And TW used to drive me around Sacramento and try to teach me things about being black. And I didn't believe it, when I was, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. He would drive me around and be like, yeah, man, they just pull us over for nothing. And they harass us and shit, And I'm like, yeah, well, maybe it's because you're thumping this music in the back. He's like, no, dude, when I see a cop, I turn the music off. I'm like, well, maybe it's because you got a bandana on your head. I'm like, no, dude, I'm not always wearing a bandana when I get pulled over. He tried to school me up on racial profiling, and I wasn't having it as a kid. But, with this wonderful invention of social media, we get to see everybody's experiences out there. So, anyway, I just wanted to just say how disappointed I was in myself for getting all emotionally wrapped up in that bullshit. In America, for not actually seeing these issues for what they are. And for any of my friends out there who just unfriended me or unfriend anybody for any reason. The fuck are you unfriending people for? We need people in our lives. We need people to stand by us, even if we're wrong. We're social beings, people. We are social. And limiting your circle to people who only agree with your opinions, that limits your perspective. And a limited perspective can't draw a informative opinion. So, I'm not even sure if there's such thing as an informative opinion. Anyway, hope that does you well. I'll talk to you soon.